view on these AI tools, more especially ChatGPT, which is the biggest elephant in the room now in the higher education. Over to you, Tshepo.
Good morning, colleagues. As Tandus has said, my name is Tshepo. I'm the instructional designer here at WSU. So my presentation will be very short and very basic. It's just to give an overview to those that may have not interacted with ChatGPT before, and also give a background into where does it come from, and potentially we could be thinking about where it is going. So it's just an overview. To begin with, let me just start with what this presentation is not about. This generative AI and artificial intelligence is quite a huge field. So this is not an end-all, a do-all presentation on AI. And it's advancing so quick that as soon as later today, things would have changed. A lot of things would have changed. And it aims to just be a simple introduction to generative AI. So let's start with what is generative AI. It's a branch of computer science, which is artificial intelligence, and it focuses on creating intelligent tools that are usually performed by humans. They usually require human intelligence. So they are usually trained using a data set of knowledge and allowing it to manipulate that knowledge and give back the knowledge as if it's something which is new, while it's not you. Everything that generative AI gives is something that existed before. So this generative AI can create images, it can create text, videos like the one that we just saw. It can create music, chatbots that you chat with on WhatsApp and so forth. Virtual assistants like your Siri, your Bixby, Google Maps, that is all part of generative AI. So one other thing that recently has been happening is that you would be seeing these kind of pictures of people like Donald Trump living in the slums. All of these are created using generative AI. Somebody just basically sat down, wrote a paragraph or two, say, create pictures about Nelson Mandela at a fashion show, moving around wearing green pants or this and that. And it would then look at pictures which are on the internet or on the data set, combine faces of Mandela with bodies of models and create this picture. So it's basically using that data set. It's not creating something new from scratch. So that is basically how you would find pictures like this. It has got implications in terms of what is real and what is not. How do you differentiate between what is real and what is not? But this one obviously is not real. Let me just, as I had said, artificial intelligence is sort of like a branch of computer science, and it has those things which is other sub branches, which is machine learning, natural language processing, speech, expert systems, robotics, vision, and planning and scheduling optimization. Speech, I think that we know that you can actually type on a Microsoft Word document just by speaking text to speech. And then you have that natural language processing, which ChatGPT falls under. Most of these tools, colleagues, in the past, they have been around since the 80s. But in the past, they were just in the back end, just these big companies using them for their own good. Like I know that Google would train itself on the data set of its users to sort of target advertisements and usage statistics, and they can actually recommend where you can have the next burger and so forth. It's only until recently, like last year, when this company called OpenAI decided to open their system to the whole world, which is ChatGPT, for usage. And then as soon as it started ChatGPT last year, I think November, December, people used it so much that it kept on crashing and so forth, and people saw the use of it. Microsoft then bought it, and they continued to make it bigger and faster, and Google then saw the need, they created their own, which is Google Bard. And also there are a lot of other people in the open source space, which is free, and then also in the proprietary space, who are also creating their own, they call them large language models, which is basically most things that behave like ChatGPT. Some people, like there's this company, Elicit, they created something for research. There are companies which created, like Adobe, that created things that can manipulate pictures because they have a large data set of pictures. Others would create data tools that can actually manipulate video. Others would create tools that can be used in the civil engineering space. Others, basically any industry, there is some work that is actually occurring for people to be training some artificial intelligence tool so that it becomes easier in that field. So it has got those implications even for our students, to say now our students are not just going to interact with programs when they graduate. They might go to work and then they find out they have to interact with some artificial intelligence tool in the workplace. So this presentation is based on ChatGPT. So I'll move to ChatGPT. As I said, it was developed by OpenAI. It was trained on a large data set of text. ChatGPT, what they did was they took all the information which is open and available to anyone on the internet before 2021, from 2021 backwards. And they used all of that text to train ChatGPT. So you can search anything on ChatGPT from 2021 backwards, and it will create some, if you prompt it, it will give you an answer or a response. So it uses these patterns to generate responses similar to human language. It's not just human language, even programming languages can be used, even calculations, it can do calculations. If that calculations can be read by a human being, you can paste it on ChatGPT and then it will bring out a step-by-step calculation of that formula. Now, there are potential uses of ChatGPT or generative AI in higher education. This one I'm saying generative AI, not ChatGPT specifically. It has got a lot of efficiency. Let me just check something here. All right. I have used it a number of times, and I've seen that it can analyze and process large amounts of text data, which is qualitative data. It now means that if you are a researcher, usually they will say if you're doing a research, you can take 5 to 10 respondents. With ChatGPT, you can actually take up to thousands and if not more. So it makes it easier to analyze all of that data because it just does it in like a few seconds. And then it can also provide more accurate and nuanced insights than traditional methods. Remember that when you do research, sometimes you have to do the iterative process, whereby you go through the data over and over again to try and find those nuances in the analysis, in the analysis, yes. So ChatGPT can actually do that at a go. You don't have to be doing it over and over again. It can be used to create outlines of research papers, sections, or anything. Even if you're trying to create another document, you can just say, you know what, create an outline for a document to get some funds elsewhere, and then it will insert some headings for you. It can easily find and summarize approaches and theories. I've found this to be very useful because I'm still a new researcher. So sometimes I would want, let's say, technology acceptance model. I would want something similar, but then I would ask it, is there 10 other models which are similar to technology acceptance model? Please summarize them for me. It would bring up 10 of them, and then I would be able to read and choose either one in case I don't want to use the technology acceptance model. And it can do that for methods, approaches, theories, and so forth. And other tools that I'm using right now is sort of like Elicit and Semantic Scholar, whereby you can just put a research question there. I know Elicit, if you put a research question there, it will actually go out and look for 8 research papers which are closest to your research question. And it gives you summaries of those research papers. It gives you a summary of the abstract, a summary of the introduction, a summary of the method, a summary of the conclusions and the results, so that you don't have to be reading multiple research papers when you can just be reading summaries very quickly and move on to the next one. And there are many other things that this generative AI can do. As I said, there's a WhatsApp, not a WhatsApp group, there's a LinkedIn group that I will share at the end, which actually has got about 1,000 a month. Every month they release a list of about 1,000 tools that are there on, that are using generative AI. And those 1,000 tools are on various industries and fields. So it's worth actually looking into that. And then there are also challenges or threats that are there in using generative AI. I know that the first one is it can promote a lazy approach. I've seen that with students who would then get an assignment and they paste it on ChatGPT. It comes up with answers. They copy and paste the answer and they get their distinctions, because we can be 20 students having the same question, but when you paste it on ChatGPT, it will come up with 20 different answers which are correct. Not different answers. It will come up with 20 essays speaking about the same thing, but saying it in a different way. The other thing is the information that it comes up with is not always accurate. Remember that it's trained on all information on the internet. And we know recently there has been a lot of fake news and whatnot. So sometimes you will ask it a question and then it brings up some fake news. So as a researcher or as a person operating it, you need to also be aware of that. So it does not have a deep understanding of the content that it gives back. It also has got bias. There's actually also a research group which is also investigating this bias. Any bias that was there on the internet before 2021 will also be there on ChatGPT and other generative AI. But also the bias can also be, as I said, there are other people developing their own tools. Those tools might have the bias of the developers also. For ChatGPT, I know that if you ask it to give you a joke about a man, it will give you a joke when you say give me a joke about a woman, it will tell you that it cannot generate information which is harmful and so forth and so forth. And there's also some researchers who actually found that it would, if you give it a statement which they were questioning it about a doctor and a nurse, that a doctor yelled at the nurse because the nurse was late. It assumed that a nurse is female and a doctor is male. So that is what it is about bias. And then it also has got a limited contextual understanding. You know, I always tell lecturers that if you want to know that your students are cheating using ChatGPT, as if there's such thing as cheating when you are using it, you will see their answers are just going to be light answers. They are not contextual in those answers. They are not deep. They don't show deep knowledge. And then there's also an issue on security and privacy. Recently, I think 2 weeks back, Samsung blocked ChatGPT from their employees from using ChatGPT, mainly because the developers, they were taking the code which belongs to Samsung, they put it in ChatGPT to try and make it better and quicker. They asked ChatGPT to make it faster, only to find out that ChatGPT kept some of that information, and that information leaked into the internet. So other people out there could see a proprietary code of Samsung. So luckily it was not a lot of data, and then they blocked their employees from using it. The other thing about it is it's an unknown terrain. It's only recently that it's been open to the rest of the world, the normal person on the street. Before, it was just being used by certain companies. So we don't know who is creating what for what. Everybody is busy training their own model. We don't know why they're training that. So we don't know yet the dangers that might come at a later stage. However, there are also things that are good that are actually coming out from it. So I'm going to now show you, let me just go to this one before I'm going to unshare and share, and then I'm going to just show you some of the things that ChatGPT can actually do. I'm going to share a screen on my ChatGPT. So
you had less than 5 minutes, Tshepo.
Oh, okay. So this would be when you get to ChatGPT, this is what it would generally show you. It gives you examples, capabilities, and limitations. So you would generally just ask it any question that you would want to ask it. I have a question here on C++. For students to write this, they're expected to take about 20 minutes, no, actually 30 minutes to do this question. But ChatGPT will just do this question in a few seconds. So the students are supposed to find errors in this and then highlight those errors, and they're expected to take 30 minutes. This is a graduate level C++, actually third level C++ code. So when you put in there and then you send it, it will just take and then analyze the code and then gives you the problems that are with the code. So you'll see that if then a student has been given this assignment, they can just do it in like two minutes, send it, get the marks, and that is that. With that said, I think that I will stop here, colleagues, and just give you this